Let's talk about something that kind of freaks people out in the health world. Can changing your diet actually make you lose your hair? We're going to get to the root of it and uncover the really surprising connection between what's on your plate and what's on your head. So you've probably seen it, right? Maybe on Reddit or a friend mentioned it. You start a new diet like keto, you're feeling amazing, the weight is coming off, and then you start noticing a little more hair in the shower drain than usual. Is keto hair loss actually a thing? The short answer, yeah, it absolutely is a real phenomenon. But here's the twist. It's not because the diet itself is bad for your hair. It's actually a side effect of how your body reacts to a massive change. And the why behind it is honestly pretty fascinating stuff about our own biology.
So, this thing has a name. The scientific term is telogen effluvium. Now, don't let the fancy name scare you. The two most important words here are temporary and shock. Your body basically sees a huge diet change as a major stress event, a shock to the system. This isn't permanent hair loss. It's just a temporary shedding phase that gets triggered by that initial shock.
Okay, so what is this shock, really? Let's dive into how your body actually processes a sudden change in its fuel source, and, why hair is the first thing to go. It all comes down to survival. Think about it from your body's point of view. To its ancient, hardwired survival programming, a sudden drop in calories or carbs feels like a legit crisis. It can't tell the difference between you deciding to go keto and an actual famine hitting. So it does what it's always done when faced with an illness or a big injury. It switches into conservation mode.
And you can see here there are different levels of stress, right? A short fast on the left is one thing. Your body just uses up some stored sugar. But a prolonged, really drastic diet can feel a lot more like the column on the right, a pretty significant shock. But in both cases, the same alarm bell starts ringing. Hey, we need to conserve energy and move resources around.
This right here is the core idea. Your body basically becomes an emergency room triage nurse. When a crisis hits, it starts diverting all its energy to the most critical functions, keeping your heart beating, your brain firing. And growing hair, well, that's a super high-energy process, but it's just not essential for survival, so it gets put way down on the priority list.
What's so tricky about this is the delay. It really catches people off guard. The shock happens in month 1, but you might not see any real shedding until 2 or 3 months later. But look at the end of that timeline. That's the important part: recovery and regrowth. For most people, this is absolutely a temporary journey.
So how does your body actually give these orders to shut down hair production? It's not just a vague idea. It's all carried out by very specific chemical messengers. We're talking about hormones. They're the ones delivering the memo to deprioritize hair growth, effective immediately.
And here are the big players in this whole drama. You've got cortisol, the famous stress hormone. You've got your thyroid hormones, which are basically the gas pedal for your metabolism. And then you have insulin and glucagon, which are constantly managing your blood sugar. A drastic diet change can throw this entire hormonal system totally out of whack.
And here is the smoking gun. That metabolic stress makes your cortisol levels spike. And all that extra cortisol basically signals to your hair follicles, hey, party's over. Time to stop growing and go into your resting phase. That's the telogen phase we mentioned. The more follicles that get pushed into this resting phase, the more shedding you see down the line. It's a direct cause and effect. At the same time, to save energy, your body might also decide to slow down your whole metabolism by pumping the brakes on thyroid hormones. And since one of the classic symptoms of an underactive thyroid is hair thinning, well, you can see how this can become a perfect storm for your hair follicles.
Okay, so we've covered the whole stress response thing, but there's another piece of the puzzle that's just as important. Are you actually giving your body the raw materials it needs to build hair in the first place, even while you're on this new diet?
First up, let's talk protein. This is non-negotiable. Your hair is literally made of protein, mostly one called keratin. So if you're cutting way back on calories or carbs, but you're also not eating enough protein, you're literally starving your hair of its most basic building block. A good rule of thumb is to make sure you're getting enough protein to support everything your body needs to do, including growing hair.
Now, this is where things get really interesting and kind of counterintuitive. We're all trained to think more is better when it comes to vitamins, but this chart shows why that can be a massive mistake. Just look at selenium and vitamin A. Yes, you need them for healthy hair, but taking way too much in supplements can actually cause toxicity that leads to hair loss. It is a true double-edged sword. And while we're on the topic of nutrients, here's a wild fact for you. The single most common nutritional deficiency on the entire planet is iron deficiency. Your hair follicles are like tiny factories, dividing cells like crazy,
And that process requires a ton of iron. So this is definitely a big one to keep an eye on.
Okay, I know what you're probably thinking right now. Dude, you haven't mentioned biotin. It's the superstar of every single hair, skin, and nails supplement out there. It's marketed like it's a miracle cure. But what's the real story?
Well, here's the reality check. A true biotin deficiency is incredibly rare. In fact, the good bacteria in your gut can make it for you. And the science is super clear on this. Unless you're one of the very few people who are clinically deficient in biotin, taking extra pills is not going to help with hair loss.
Okay, so we have all this information, we understand the why, so what can we actually do? This last part is all about action. It's about being proactive and supporting your hair so you can make that dietary transition smoothly.
It really boils down to 3 main strategies. 1. Get enough high-quality protein. Simple as that. 2. Be smart about your supplements. Fill in potential gaps like iron, but please, avoid that more is better trap with things like vitamin A. And 3, maybe the most important one, just go slow. Easing into a diet instead of crash landing into it can help you avoid that big metabolic shock altogether.
And to make it even easier, here's a cheat sheet for your next grocery trip. These foods aren't just great for keto. They are packed with all the stuff we just talked about. Healthy fats, complete proteins, zinc, iron. Things like fatty fish, eggs, avocados, and leafy greens are basically your hair's best friends. But really, the single most important thing I can tell you is this: stay calm. If this is happening to you, just remember that for almost everyone, this is a temporary phase. As your body adjusts to its new normal, and as long as you keep giving it the right fuel, the shedding stops and the regrowth begins.
When you step back and look at the whole picture, it reveals something pretty powerful, doesn't it? Your hair is like a canary in a coal mine for your internal health. It's often one of the first things to send up a flare when your body is under stress. So maybe the question isn't just about what a diet will do for your waistline, but also what kind of signal is it sending to the rest of your body? Thanks for digging into this with me.